centers on the people. It's a really romantic telling. It's a human telling of the story. What's always excited me about this particular version is that you care. And and it's the classic Phantom story. You still get all, there's still the Paris Opera House, there's the chandelier, there's boats, there's candelabras, there's all the stuff that usually goes along with what people think of as Phantom. But what they'll be surprised by in this version is that it's not just the stuff. The people rise above the stuff. The story, the relationships, the intrigue, the passion in the heart of it is what really drives this. And what we've sort of spent the last 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks working on is trying to make sure that the story comes out. That there's a reason why you'd want to spend 2.5 hours with us beyond looking at, oh hey, what's the next set or costume going to look like? For what it's worth, the other thing that we're really excited about is our staff has gone beyond anything I've ever seen in those departments too. Because the sets, as you can see with this amazingly painted drop behind us, the sets, the costumes, the lights, it's sort of like everything on Miracle Grow. It's just really, really exciting. And especially since everybody that saw Les Mis last year was like, how are you going to top Les Mis? And we didn't set out to top Les Mis, but I am more excited about this production than I was with Les Mis, and I didn't think that was possible. And that's true.
Without training, your voice will never achieve the heights for which I know it has been destined. I would like to help bring you there. And I can. I myself am a singer of some renown. No, please, stay there. There is a condition, and it is inviolable. I have never given any lessons before, for until just now, I have never wanted to. If others hear that I am giving lessons, they will want them as well. Therefore, if you choose to let me be your guide in this, as I dearly hope you will, I must insist that I remain anonymous. And I shall do so by wearing a mask. And please, there's no need to answer now. I will find you. Au revoir.
It's actually a pretty simple story. There's a guy that has sort of lived underneath the Paris Opera House because of a deformity. Because it's 1895, there wasn't plastic surgeons that ran around taking care of things if you didn't want to look at them. Society was definitely caught up in that period of looks and grandeur and what they didn't like and what they didn't know they were afraid of. And if they were afraid of it, they banished it to either the gutters or the circus. So here's this man who is physically deformed and can't come up into the light of day. So his whole life is living under the Paris Opera House with music. So his whole life then becomes music and sounds and singers. And he longs for there to be a voice that lives up to the angel's voice that he's created in his mind. And Christine comes into the opera house and he hears that voice. And it's all about him wanting to connect with that voice. And how that connection as a teacher and a student leads to a relationship that could be threatened by the discovery of his face and what he really looks like. But he learns to trust and he learns to love, and he is fiercely protective. So it's basically a love story. And there's the villains, the villainess, Carlotta and Cholet, who have taken over the opera house, who don't believe in ghosts, and he has set himself up as a ghost because it's the only way he can keep the opera house going the way that he wants. And he has a benefactor. He has someone by the name of Grandeur who looks out for him and is aware that he exists and sort of helps him exist. And through the story of the play, you find out why. And for me, the story of the play really centers on when you become vulnerable and what makes us vulnerable. And what do we get identified by? Is it all about looks? Should we be identified by what we look like and what we wear and where we live and how we live? Or should we be identified by who we are and what we have to offer and what we can give through our souls and through our voices versus, wow, I'm really pretty. It's really sort of remarkable, especially in this version, that Christine has this unbelievably, quote, beautiful man in the Countess Chandon, and this man in a mask who she never sees his face, that are both vying for her attention. And she's spending much more of her time with the man with the mask, because the man with the mask is spending time with her because he's interested in her, not just her beauty and her talent. He's interested in her as a person. Whereas the Countess Chandon is a collector of pretty women and pretty things. And she chooses to be with the soul. It's sort of what, I wish, life could always be. Choose us for who we are, not what you want us to be.
Here you'll be safe from all prying and vicious eyes, safe from all venomous words and malicious lies. Sleep, gentle creature, my love and my protege. As for myself, I shall worship you night and day. All my existence would end if you went away.
We did Rags, which was my second show here, which was 9 years ago. We had automation in that we had staircases that sort of like moved on a turntable. And we've had deck automation things here before, but we've never had anything to this extent, where we have boats and organs that are so opulent with candelabras and chandelier, 10 foot by 5 feet wide, I think, chandeliers that fall, and, fog, just the fog. We have fog, dry ice, haze. There's every kind of, sort of environmental thing all working at once. And Les Mis was huge in its scope because it was a large cast, it was a large vocal, and we had big pieces, but they didn't have special effects to them. We didn't have hydraulics, things that were bringing things from places you would never expect. We certainly didn't have the grandeur of costumes in the 10 years that I've been here, which is not to knock anything we've ever done, because we did My Fair Lady. It was a beautiful, sumptuous production of clothes, but we've never had anything to the grandeur level that this is. The woman who plays Carlotta, I think, has 14 different gowns. Every ensemble girl, every time they come on stage, has a different gown. They've all been built. The beading, the lace, the detail on these clothes, it's truly unbelievable. And, we've had costume shows that have been big costume shows, but never to this level. So when you take all of the beads and bells and whistles of the clothes, add in, we've become known for huge lighting shows, add that into it, then the grandeur of sets like I've never seen here. From the staircase that's had, floor to ceiling, to all the automation stuff. And put those three together, then add a cast that is as good as Les Mis ever was, and if not even grander, because it's opera. Les Mis is a contemporary play, it has a sort of pop rock score. These are opera singers. It's glorious. There hasn't been a day yet, not yet, where we have left the theater as a collective group not more excited today than we were the day before, and anticipating what's going to happen.